Hi, and welcome to show number 5, where we'll be covering inspired logic and take a peek at imagination. Remember our trader group from the last show called Inspired? Well, in today's show, it's this inspired logic that I'd like to talk about. We also mentioned in the last show that the totus unus principle is not just about trading, so do be assured that everything I cover here can be transformed to achieving anything that you want in life, regardless of profession. The best way to understand this for yourself is to become involved in actually doing it. For example, I'm going to explain the inspired trader's principle, if you like, of trading, and then towards the end of this show, we'll move to applying this to your own life in the here and now, for things or circumstances that you desire now. So, Mr. Inspired as an image of trading. This image is about as far removed from the markets as you could imagine. Get Mr. Inspired to talk about his image, then you will learn all of his strategy and exactly how you can duplicate it. Now, before we go on, I want to examine a word with you. That word is in that imagination. The reason I want you to look at this word so closely is because it is going to be a word that we use a lot over the coming shows. It is a word that has been abused somewhat over time and has become descriptive, I should say, of many different states, meaning that it's hard now to define what quality we're referring to when we use the word. For example, we can dismiss a person's comment of bad health by saying it's all in his imagination and instantly demean the word imagination and the person in one sentence. We can then pay someone the highest compliment by saying he has a wonderful and creative imagination, a man or woman of futuristic vision. One dictionary says, and I've got to try and remember this now, the act or concept of mental creation, often a baseless substance of fanciful thinking, a faculty of forming mental images or concepts of what is not actually present to the senses. Not exact words, but words along those lines. For the purpose of totus unus, let's define imagination as the faculty of placing oneself or others into different states which are not actually present to the senses at this time or space. In fact, this definition is so important that I think it's worthy of writing down and pinning it to your desk somewhere. This way, whenever I use the word imagination, you'll be prompted to recall our exact meaning. So back to Mr. Inspired, who will have a powerful and sometimes trained imagination which he uses as his trading strategy. As a side note here, I estimate that about 80% of inspired traders are actually unaware of the process they use. I'll now try to convey to you what exactly Mr. Inspired is doing. Worth mentioning again at this point is that the same process is applicable for any aspect of your life, for anything you want to achieve. So, Mr. Inspired will have started off from either one of 2 points. The first one being brought up with, say, the understanding with the power of imagination, or from that of learning via trial and error along the way. Depending upon starting points, they will differ in their outlook on other aspects of their lives, but as far as trading goes, they will both be doing exactly the same process. I'm now going to give you a one-line statement of why Inspired is so successful. Inspired is successful because his logic says he already is that which he is. Okay, that was short, and you may have missed it, so here it is again. Inspired is successful because his logic says he already is that which he is. You'll be developing this exact same logic over the coming shows to then use for yourself. Now remember earlier when I mentioned states? Well, Inspired lives in a state which dictates that he already is. Therefore, his only possible outcome is already a given fact. Now understand at this stage this may be a bit hard to get the old grey matter around, but do stay with me on this. All will become crystal clear, I promise. Okay, so now we know why Inspired is successful. All we have to do is break that down into component parts and put it back together into a format that you can use. You'll be pleased to hear that this is exactly what we're going to be doing starting with the very next show. But before we get that far, regardless of why you're watching these shows, now is the time to grab pen and paper ready to take action. Write down the date and put the paper away. Next, I want you to think of a thing or the thing that you would like to have in your life right now, or something you would like to hear about yourself right now, or a person that you would like to encounter right now, or a situation where you would like to see something good happen to a person you care about. To start off with, make this a simple thing. Later on we'll get to the big stuff. But for now, do not choose anything that you truly believe would not happen. I don't ask you to do this because you can't have big things, because in truth you can have anything you truly desire. But I don't want you to get distracted or bogged down, if you like, from the process at the moment by focusing on what you perceive to be a huge target. Incidentally, one person decided to reverse engineer this process by deciding to see if they could make something happen that he would never normally do or expect to happen. I'll tell you his story on the next show, which was quite remarkable how it played out. Oh, and by the way, I only ask you to write the date down because when you get what you asked for, I don't want you to forget how and why it came into being. One final instruction. If you need to write down what you're actually going to ask for, then choose something else, because if you need to write it and can't remember it, it truly can't be of value or meaningful enough of you to work with. Well, that's it all for this show. Take care of you and yours until the next show, which is titled Relief at Last.